Let the sweepy man sweep. Let that man do his job. Somebody at Ibrox is doing their job properly, and it's good to see, and it's good to hear. Nobody's bothering the end of the day, which is not how I felt when three, maybe four or five, it could have been 25 Aberdeen players, that's something what it felt like, with through on our goal deep into injury time in a first half that didn't seem to be ending, and I thought one of them's going to put the ball in the back of the net. One of them did. There was a referee's whistle was going off somewhere deep in my subconscious. There was a linesman's flag getting raised in the periphery of my peripheral vision, but all I was focused on, all my entire spirit, all my entire being could think of and could feel and could concentrate on was the fact that, yeah, we're a goal down, and that's just exactly how it should be. That's just the way things are going, and it made a perfect kind of dark, black, horrible sense. I'd been a naive fool to get out my seat what felt like a split second before to celebrate Cyril Dessler's putting the ball into the back of the Aberdeen net. We're a goal up, yes, I believed we were going to do this. I knew this would be the day that we ended this bleak home run, but no, stupidly it was ruled out by VAR. You can anthropomorphise VAR, don't you? You think it's a person. VAR disallowed that goal. The rules disallowed the goal. It wasn't a proper goal. After last week as well against Celtic, I mean, we should have had that penalty. I think last week Hadji was fouled in the box by Callum McGregor, but the goal, Celtic's goal being allowed, us having another goal disallowed. Nah, that was right. It was absolutely fine. But it feels as if it's VAR having a go at you. Here it was again, VAR victimising you, victimising assistant referee. But no, it was just seemed absolutely fine. It seemed absolutely in keeping with the way things have been going, and that goal was not allowed for Rangers, and yet somehow, us having put the ball in the back of the net, we're still going to manage to go down the tunnel at half time, a goal behind. Yeah, I mean, Dessler's just rolling about in the ground in fake agony, something Cyril does well. He gets a lot of free kicks, does the big man, so maybe the referee blew for that when Aberdeen had the ball in the back of our net, and it's probably the most offside goal of offsides, as I said, but for me, it was no. We're 1-0 down, and that's just the way it's supposed to be. This time last week, I was ranting and raving, totally self-obsessed. Unlike this week's pod, there'll be none of that at all. There'll be no self-referential stuff going on in this pod at all. Where I was talking about how chuffed I was that I'd managed to keep up my 100% home attendance record because the night before I'd had to go to a play. I mean, just people, they're so evil to you, aren't they? So somebody had got me a present of a ticket for a play starring Gary Oldman down in York, and all I'd done since Christmas, like the selfish Wayne I am, was fret about my ability to maintain my 100% home attendance record, something that doesn't usually happen. There's always one game a season at home that I'll miss, and I don't go to away games at all now. Really, haven't done for years. The minute I broke, I had a record of away games where I hadn't missed a Rangers Cup game, League or Scottish, away from home for something like 10 years, and then I broke that. Something happened, and I couldn't keep it going for an 11th season, so to speak, and I just kind of gave up then. And then, of course, we went into the lower leagues, and I was just get the season ticket renewed every season, go to all the home games. But usually I have to go on holiday, and I'm forced to go on a holiday or something, and we can't get the dates to scan, and I've got to miss a Rangers game, or there's some sort of emergency, somebody decides to die or something. Like a selfish bump, somebody has a wedding, and you've got to miss a home game, so this was a chance. We was not having any pre-season friendlies as well at Ibrox or at Hampden, because we were at Hampden and not Ibrox last summer. It was nice. It was a good thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to at least get my own personal success out of this season. Just a nice week and an anorak feeling of having loyalty in times of hardship. I've been to every single home game, but here it was. I was going to have to go to York, get to York and back for a Saturday night play. And it was a 12 noon kick-off against Celtic at Ibrox the next day, and I managed it, and it was tough, because that's what happens, isn't it? That's what happens with glorious runs, with runs of success like I'm achieving right now. If I don't have that incoming massive coronary event between now and Wednesday, I should be home and hosed. I'm looking like I'm going to manage it. As long as I get myself, I have this paranoia that I'm going to forget my season ticket or something really stupid that's going to cost me it right at the last minute. So I'll sellotape the season ticket to my boys before the game on. In fact, I don't even sellotape it. I'll just kind of hold them in there naturally. There's a strange suction thing going on when you get to my age. Get the season ticket in there, the smart card, to make sure that I do not miss that game on Wednesday. So it should be fine. And I'll look back and go, that time I nearly didn't get it. I had to go to York for that play. I had to charge back up the road at the speed of light and Coca-Cola and Bounty Bars. That was the closest. I made it exciting. I made that run exciting. Manchester United have got to a European final, and it's like loose change to Manchester United getting to a Europa League final. It's their third since, and including 2017. And before that they were in 3 Champions League finals in the space of 4 years, 2008 to 2011 inclusive. But there's always got to be a moment where it looks like you're not going to do it. Any kind of European run, and Man United might look to the game against us at Old Trafford, where we equalised right at the end of the game, but they score a goal in injury to make sure they're going to finish in the automatic qualification spots. And then that was practice for the absolute barrage of goals they had in injury time and extra time against Lyon in that exciting, was it quarter final last 16? I can't remember, but even us, 9 in a row, we did 9 in a row. There was that day against Aberdeen this time of year, this time of the season, this kind of weather, in this very stadium. We're playing Aberdeen and they just required a draw to win the league title. Yes, Aberdeen, believe it or not, kids. And we had this rookie manager who wasn't going to amount to anything. Walter Smith, really dodgy appointment. He'd lost that game at Motherwell and looked like we'd chucked the league title, but there wasn't even going to be a 3 in a row, never mind 9 in a row. But we pulled it off that day, where players are dropping like flies with injury and illness, what have you, but we still managed to pull it off. We beat Aberdeen, we won that league title, and that was the kind of closest we came during 9 in a row to not getting 9 in a row. That was like the closest season of the 9 that we came to chucking it. And that makes it more exciting. It's all the more memorable. It's still one of the most memorable games in that, one of the most memorable seasons in that whole 9 in a row run. And I felt as if that's what it was me. I'm doing the same thing, going to York. It's my personal run at football. But it happens the other way, doesn't it? It happens that other way, where it's a terrible run. Your team's on a terrible run. You've got the runs. It's a horrible case of the runs. It's a dose of the runs. And there comes times where you think, it's going to be over. It looks like I'm going to get out of it. No, I've shot myself again. And that's what it was today. I thought, I'm at my seat. I'm convinced that Barry's going to win one of these final 2 games against the new firm at home to break this home run. But the last thing I heard when I left the house today, I get here quite quickly for the house, and the last thing I heard was at the start of Sky's coverage was Chris Boyd saying that our European achievements this season were irrelevant. They were irrelevant. Just like, what, Chris? I know Chris wasn't first pick when it came to European games, but he did come on a European final for us towards the end of a European final, which I was at down in Manchester, and he did get a run out in the Champions League, even if it was Walter just trying to prove why Boydy wasn't getting a start despite the clamour in Champions League group stage games and in his domestic records. I love Boydy. I love him, as a player especially. But I felt that was horrendous. That's playing up to the Celtic supporters' idea. This whole kind of sweep it under the carpet, sweep what Rangers have done in Europe compared to us under the carpet. Let's keep the emphasis on the domestic stuff. For a club the size of Rangers, Europe is a responsibility. It's a much a responsibility as it's more of a responsibility. No, I think the domestic stuff is a responsibility. We should be winning at least half the domestic trophies in this country because the size we are. There's only one other club of a comparable size to us in this country, so we do have a responsibility to win half the domestic trophies. Generally speaking, despite notwithstanding little things like your entire holding company collapsing and you having to go down to the bottom tier of league football, that will have an ongoing effect. But really, that's the responsibility. The glory, the real prize, and why I love Europe is Europe. I remember during 9 in a row, that 9 in a row of league titles for Rangers, opposition fans, the mainstream media, Rangers supporters, it's all about Europe though. Right, we've got the domestic stuff sewn up, right, but what have we done in Europe doesn't really count for anything if you can't do anything in Europe. Oh. And now, just because we've done it the other way around, somehow Europe just doesn't count now at all. In this period, in this day and age where UEFA is basically pandering to the threatening breakaway European Super League clubs by giving all the top leagues, the big 4 leagues, the big 5 leagues, all the fucking group stage places they could possibly want, while we've got a club of our standard, a club of our size, a club of our history has got to fight through 3 qualifying rounds just to get into a group stage. It's for us to get to a quarter final is utterly sensational, and it was today. If Barry ended up with an unwinning run domestically, it's already, the record's not down to him. It started under Philip Clement, but it's already a record for Rangers of not winning at Ibrox consecutive games. If Barry had extended that again today, and his management will come to an end with the game next Saturday against Hibs, then it would have been unfair on him, I think, but it would have been used to distract from his genuine part, his amazing part, and the genuinely amazing achievement of us getting to a quarter-final this season. It lets you polish your achievements this season. I keep talking about that Europa League trophy. The Europa League competition, it's the UEFA Cup trophy. It's still called the UEFA Cup trophy. Before the UEFA Cup, which started in 1971-72, Spurs getting to the first final and winning it against our English club. It was Wolves back then, be Man United this time. Before that, it was the Fairs Cup, and only 4 Scottish teams ever got to the semi-finals of the Fairs Cup. None of them won. We were one of those clubs. And then in the UEFA Cup period, Dundee United were the first Scottish club to ever get to the final of that competition, Fairs Cup or UEFA Cup. They got to the 87 UEFA Cup final and they lost. Celtic get to the 2003 UEFA Cup final, they lose. We get to the 2008 UEFA Cup final, we lose, but we're in there. With the best of the achievements Scotland can muster in that competition. Scotland has only ever won 3 European club competitions, and we get to a second final in the Europa League days. The only Scottish club to get to the final in the Europa League days, but that's twice. Europa League, UEFA Cup, Fairs Cup. We're the only Scottish team to get to the final. 2 occasions, and I build up these things, I build up these attitudes, I build up this false historicism. Thank you, Carol Popper, for making me realise it. Just because things had happened a certain way in the past doesn't mean to say they were going to happen that way again today. When I was thinking at half time, when I was in the depths at half time, I was thinking it's Fraserburgh. It's Fraserburgh in the Scottish Cup, which led to Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup. For all the times I'm trying to tell other Rangers supporters need to calm down and no get so antsy. I remember at half, we don't want to talk about the Fraserburgh game because of what happened afterwards, but our first game in the Scottish Cup this season, we're playing against a non-league side, a Highland League side. It's a fairy tale, that. A fairy tale for them because they do have so many part-time players, and the truth, the condemnation for Rangers is in it being the cliched fairy tale. They do have players who have other jobs, other full-time jobs. All our players have one full-time job, and that is playing football. We're 1-0 up at half-time. Dessers had missed a sitter, but we were 1-0 up at half-time, and yet it was awful. We were controlling the game, but we were not working Fraserburgh at all, and I thought, this is horrendous for any team that is 5 leagues above, 5 divisions above another, to be putting in this lack of effort in the first half. We won the game 5-0, Dessers gets his hat-trick, so maybe the arrogance in the first half was justified, but it wasn't. It ended up becoming what happened to us against Queen's Park in the next game. Same stadium, same competition. But that at half-time, I was like, why is nobody more upset? For all the times I've been telling Rangers fans to calm down, I was the one needing to calm down at half-time in that game, thinking, this is disgusting. I've actually never seen this for Rangers before. It's absolutely horrendous, the attitude here. We are not working this Highland League side at all. And I think that was the attitude that set in and cost us the worst defeat in the Scottish Cup of all time for Rangers in the following round. But for all that, we get this European achievement. I'm trying to balance out one with the other. We've overachieved in Europe to balance out our massive underachievement in the Scottish Cup, and I'm hearing that the European achievement didn't count. I'm hearing that didn't count at all. And the preview, I've been in this game for years. It's because I've been in this game for years. It's made me an animal. There's rules to this shit. I wrote me a Manuel Pellegrini in the preview pods on Friday. I was talking about the European semi-finals the night before in the Europa League and the Conference League, because they did affect Rangers, and they were a comment on Rangers' season as well. And I couldn't get the name of Manuel Pellegrini. I couldn't get Manuel Pellegrini's name. Obviously, I could see his face. I could list just about every club he's ever managed in his extensive, star-studded career. But it was Manuel Pellegrini. Thanks for nobody corrected me either, which is really nice. Nobody chipped in there. Just went. I usually get 15, replies saying Manuel Pellegrini. By the way, it's Manuel Pellegrini. But no, thanks very much for that, Trips. You were letting me off it. It's been a long, hard season. But that's his first ever European final. Thursday night with Real Betis, and getting them to their first European final as a club. A magnificent achievement against Fiorentina the other night in the semi-finals. And Manuel Pellegrini's Real Betis, we beat home and away last season. Michael Beale was the manager when we beat them at Ibrox. Clement is the manager when we beat them in Spain. We beat them in Seville, and it's a phenomenal achievement by Rangers last season, and yet we're still sacking managers. And this season we're actually going to a quarter-final in the superior competition in the Europa League. It was the Europa League, we beat them in home and away last season. The money, the amount of rounds we've got to play to get in, as I say, for Rangers to get to a European quarter-final is probably more of an achievement, strictly speaking, pro rata terms, than winning the 1972 Cup Winners' Cup. It's not as glorious. So the idea that Rangers supporters are trying to write this off, former Rangers players are trying to kind of write off the European stuff, and there's a reason for that, but we'll get into that. I'm just so happy that Barry did not actually. This is how you doing, folks. This is your fat egg. Immediate post, having gone into the post-split period, thinking that Rangers, as a target, if we were looking for targets because we weren't going to win the league, should at least try and win all 5 of the post-split games for the first time in their history, or in the history of the split. It ended up looking for a wee while today, especially at half-time, as if we weren't going to win any of our post-split fixtures for the first time in our entire history, but instead Barry, who was in charge for 5 of the games in the 7-match unwinning run at Ibrox, he lost the first 3, he drew the next 2, and in the second of those 2 drawn games last week against Celtic, he took the lead for the first time. Rangers took the lead for the first time at Ibrox in this horrific run we were on. Today we took the lead and then we went 2 goals up. We doubled that lead for the first time in this run of unwinning fixtures at Ibrox, and then we extended to 3-0, and we ended up winning 4-0, which was the score against another team from the North East on a Sunday at Ibrox, the last time we won a game here at the most beautiful home in association football, back in the 2nd of February. Ross County it was, and today Rangers won at home, won at Ibrox for the first time in 3 months and 1 week. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Gersnet wasn't on Friday night. I don't know what happened there, folks, on Friday night. I've not heard anything. I'm supposed to be on it next Sunday, so they're probably doing that thing of shutting the curtains and pretending they're no in so that I don't actually turn up. You don't have to listen to my crap next Sunday. But I'm pretty sure they will be on tonight, 9:30, the Gersnet flagship show on their YouTube channel, and they will have a nice big juicy home win to get their teeth into, the boys that are on that one tonight. I'm sponsored by that, and I'm sponsored by Fry Ups, by heating up or having every aspect of the fry up done correctly. I know Alan Partridge did this thing in his caravan with his Polish girlfriend, and he was talking about how Scottish folk, it's our staple diet. That's how few of us C40. And I was living up to that stereotype yesterday, and it was alright. I mean, she's getting the omelette, lovely place and all that. She's getting it's fresh as a daisy. The steam's coming off that. It's so freshly made, absolutely delicious. But I'm getting the old fry up, and the fried egg was perfect. The toast was nice. The butter wasn't just the wee packets of butter, and they weren't just soft. They were actually liquid, which is great. Made it look like putting olive oil on a ciabatta, but they were lovely. The toast, and then the bacon was a bit lukewarm and slightly rubbery, and you get the beans, a little cup of beans which has been fired through a microwave. So they're roasting piping hot, but it's a false heat. It's not quality heat. And the black pudding was okay, but the tomato, it's a tomato, it's a fruit, so we'll just slightly charcoal it at the side, but don't actually make it warm. I want it roasting. I want it freshly out there. The grill, no, and then there was the bit of slice. That was the worst part of the whole thing. The bit of square sausage was like rubber. It was charcoal around the edges. It had been obviously heated to within an inch of its life, and yet it was still absolutely freezing by the time it got into my plate. But because my plate is always clear, isn't it? So you can't go and complain, because they'll be like, "Well, you finished the whole thing." That's not a comment on the quality of the food. Me, I just eat everything. That's not a comment on the quality of the food. Lovely cappuccino I had with it as well, But so I want every aspect of it. It's that thing where folks seem to think if because you're having really unhealthy food, well then the quality of it, how you make it, shouldn't be any good either. No, that's not the point at all. We are not that kebab shop in Bury that I went to after seeing Bury against Stockport at Gig Lane. It was terrible. It was absolutely awful. No, we don't be treated like contempt like that in Scotland. We do fried food properly. It's an art form up here. So you've got to do. I'm sponsored by that. My name's Alec Anderson. I thought you'd listen to my reasoning, yeah. But now I see you don't hear a thing, yeah. Got to make you see, oh yeah, how it's got to be. Yes, it's alright. All or nothing. All or nothing. All or nothing for me. Things could work out just like I want them to, yeah. If I could have the other half of you, yeah. You know I would, oh yeah, if I only could, but it's all or nothing, Barry. All or nothing, I hear my children say, all or nothing, Barry. Patrick Stewart there, folks. Patrick Stewart having to have that conversation with Barry. He's not going to get the job. He shouldn't get the job any longer than he's got it, but I want him to have everything he needs out of his time in that job. I don't want anything distracting from what he's achieved in European terms, his massive contribution to a brilliant European season for Rangers. He didn't lose to Celtic. He beat Celtic at Parkhead. His 2 Old Firm games in charge, and the only thing that was hanging over was this. I've got I'm a big orange C. I'm a big orange C. The old baseball cap, the Mankey old baseball cap. I got this for Soldier Field in Chicago. The mistake by the lake back in 2008. It was absolutely roasting. Got it in the summer there, and it's I've had it's manky. I haven't the garden and all that. It's absolutely stinking, even though it's white. And I have to wear it today. The Pope, the new Pope, is for Chicago, and here my first Rangers game after that, I'm wearing a Chicago. It's like a white hat, isn't it? Because he's a White Sox fan. White Sox. We're talking about that in the preview pod on Friday night, because that's all we talk about. Rangers supporters. We talk about religion. We talk about the Pope. We're obsessed and talking about the fact White Sox, that sounds absolutely right. Celtic with the White Sox fan, but it's the Chicago White Sox. I've been to Cellular Field, as their stadium was called at that point in time, and I'll tell you how I'd also been to see the Cubs. And you think the Cubs, they're like the little Bears. Chicago Bears is the NFL team. There's only one NFL franchise in Chicago, so maybe it doesn't matter which baseball side you support. Everybody supports the Bears. So I get the 49ers. It's a Catholic family that owns the 49ers, and you've got the Pope's a little bear. Maybe that's, I don't really know. But what I'd forgotten, of course, was the Blues Brothers. Jake Blues gives his address on the Blues Brothers as 1060 West Addison, which is Wrigley Field. And I'd been to Wrigley Field. I'd seen the Cubs. I've seen the Cubs at Wrigley. One of the greatest moments in my life. And I was talking in the preview pod about how it's starting to feel with Barry. Nobody will just need to get this home win. It's like the Anno Catulorum building, the Go Cubs, the famous one of the many buildings that overlooks Wrigley Field, and I've got the stands. I did all that description of why Wrigley Field is the only venue in the world that rivals Ibrox in a sporting sense that I've been in anyway. And they've got this Anno Catulorum building that says Go Cubs in Latin, but then they've got the sign that says AC, which is Anno Catulorum. It's the year of the Cubs. That's as close as you can get to that in Latin. And they've got then all these big numbers, big digit kind of scoreboard things like cricket style. And it's the number of years since the Cubs have won their the conference, and the number of years since the Cubs have won the World Series, and famously it got zeroed after it was well over the 100 mark. It got zeroed in 2016 when the Cubs finally won the World Series. Again, I was starting to feel as if with Barry, he's got to this, how many home? It's 5 home games. Rangers haven't won. It's 6 home games. It's 7 home games. It's got to get zeroed. It's got to get zeroed because we've only got 1 home game left after today, and I just didn't want it to be. And Jake and Elwood, they're doing it for they're on a mission from God, and it's for the Penguin, who's a nun, and they're from an orphanage. They're from a Roman Catholic orphanage. So it doesn't matter if you're a Bear or a Cub or a White Sox over there. And the Bears, so the Cubs, the baseball, they used to be called the White Stockings. And they also used to be called one of their original names was the Chicago Orphans, and so it's quite appropriate that Jake would give his address as 1060 West Addison. I think it's on the red line. We got the L, got the L out there. But today Barry got to zero that. As I say, it's absolutely magnificent. My name's Alec Anderson, and I'm coming to you from outside Ibrox after Rangers beat Aberdeen by 4-0 in this lunchtime SPFL Premiership match, ensuring that we go back to within just a mere 17 points of Celtic. But Aberdeen took not enough inspiration. The Hibs losing yesterday didn't mean Aberdeen were going to come out and get all 3 points today. They certainly were unable to. We blew them away, and it's a massive relief, as I might touch on again, for Barry to get his first home win, for Rangers to get their first home win since the 2nd of February. All or nothing, small faces. I don't know when it happened. that I became a total football fan. I remember my first game. I remember watching Rangers in the '77 Scottish Cup final. I'd been to my first game a month before that, here against Hibs at Ibrox. But it was soldiers for me. I'm talking last week about the Star Wars reference being made, and today that was called the Union Bears Shite Bags last week. You know, very quietly, and so they couldn't hear me. But I was calling the Union Bears Shite Bags because they went with Graham Souness as opposed to what we originally thought it was. We originally thought it was Michael Stone, and the day I'm calling them Shite Bags again because they're not even wearing the black gear. They can't look at me, black t-shirt like that. They can't wear the black gear because it's too sunny. Aye, I've been standing in shade all day. I've got the shorts on, everything. This weather is absolutely murder. I hate this time of year. I'm starting to hate this time. I hate this time of year because I'm a baldy old ex-ginger, but and I'm morbidly obese, but I just starting to hate this weather, this kind of balmy, near summer type of weather. It's sweaty, but it's beautiful to look at. You should be happy, and we're losing cup finals to Celtic with a last-minute ball dropped by Jack Butland, and there's horrific stuff happening in the league. We're usually taking a tanker in the Old Firm games as well, just to rub it in. It hasn't happened this season. I just want to be in wherever it is in Germany. I don't know. I always think it's Berlin. I always think it's Kurfürstendamm, but I'm not sure. There's a video out there explaining the story of it, where the Steve Marriott and Ronnie Lane and Ian McLagan and Kenny Jones, where they're all standing doing their bit of busking in a street in Germany. I think it might be a winter market, or it's the 60s, it's mid-60s. It's only 20 years since the end of the war, and there's these flames coming out of kind of oil lamps. It made me think it's a German market near Kurfürstendamm, but it could just be the way things still were in certain parts of Marshall Plan West Germany in the mid-60s, and they have that wee bit in the video where Steve Marriott, he's mugging, obviously miming away to the actual recording of the song there, but it's one of the most beautiful songs of all time. And I always thought as a kid it was All of My Lovin'. I always thought it was All My Lovin', all of my lovin', yeah, but it's all or nothing, and that's what's happened with the football. That's what's happened with the Rangers support. For so many of them, they can't handle the fact they've actually done well in European competition this season, because I want to slag them because they haven't done so well domestically, because they haven't won anything domestically. It's all or nothing, all or nothing. For me, it's just about all of my loving. I'll go to every home game if I possibly can. I just want to give you all of my loving. I'm slagging them last week for the Star Wars reference. My pal Alan Frew, who stayed in the exact same house as me, straight across the road, same build a house, and we kind of social engineering type house and estate that we stayed in Eglinton Square in Ardrossan, and Alan's house was exactly the same as mine, but his was upstairs, and we used to wave to each other through our windows and all that at night time. It was like somebody being in a different stand of the same stadium. And last week it was a Star Wars reference, and Alan had all the Star Wars stuff. He had the Millennium Falcon, he had all the Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, and that kind of, all the figurines, and I went to see all the Star Wars films when they came out. But it never really, even then it was a Second World War, it was Airfix, it was Revel, it was Hummel, it was get me the little tins of paint latterly, but initially it was the OOHO scale and 1 to 32 scale, big soldiers, wee soldiers, Airfix. I had Africa Corps, I had the Gurkhas, I had the Desert Rats, or the 8th Army. You get the German Alpine troops as well. You get the wee guy with the skis, his feet coming off with the skis, but he attached to the skis and stuff like that. I loved all that stuff, and I couldn't, I had the gun emplacement and the pontoon bridge, everything. I had it all Airfix. That's all I wanted. I wanted the Second World War all the time. I didn't want Star Wars. I don't know why that was, but at some point, and it's true what they say, folks, it's true what Reform UK are telling you, it's true what Donald Trump tells you, your children will transition. They will get transitioned. And I transitioned from Second World War and Airfix models to, at some point, I transferred to just being football. And it crosses over. There's a whole crossover thing. I remember going to 1977. I was only like 8 years old, nearly. I wasn't even 8 years old. Being devastated. A packet of German paratroopers or US Marines wouldn't have cheered me up after the 1977 Scottish Cup final, which we lost by a penalty, an Andy Lynch penalty to 0. And I watched, it was the first Scottish Cup final live on telly since the 50s. I didn't know that. It was the first thing I could remember. And it was gutting. But I think if I put it down to one particular moment that the transition took place, it was my Uncle Robert, who himself was a grown man who loved, he was into wargaming and stuff like that. He was into the proper full-on, Edward Cullen kind of wargaming with the ruler and the measuring stick and painting up all the Napoleonic soldiers and that kind of thing. He was into all that kind of stuff, but they were staying with us because they were moving house and they had to wait a few weeks before they get into the new place. Great guy. And Rangers were playing, and it was on the radio. They were playing Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, and I'd been to my first Rangers game, but it was a year or so before I go to my next one. In fact, it was later that season I would go to my next one, and I remember being upstairs playing with there was I think it was the Desert Rats and the Africa Corps, and there was a wee kind of there was a palm tree you could get, a wee set that you would get with like a farmhouse that had been kind of blown up. And they were all fighting in that, and I had my kind of half track, a German half track as well. You could get them for the 1-32 scale stuff. And I was upstairs, I had it all sit out, and he was, I was wanting him to come up and see it because you wanted somebody older to. And I'm like kind of 10 at the time, but he was downstairs, and and I was also always interested in football as well. And he kept coming upstairs, going, "Rangers are winning 1-0. Rangers are winning 2-0. It was a game we won 8-1 against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. Like John McDonald got a hat trick, Ian Redford got a couple, Colin McAdam, Sandy Jordan. Jim Bett. I think the Kilmarnock goal was an absolute stonker as well. September 1980, I'm pretty sure it was. So I'd be 11. So still well into the soldiers and all that. But he just came upstairs going, that's 5-1, 6. I don't know when Kilmarnock got their goal. It was like, this is amazing. This is brilliant. Rangers keep scoring. That's my transition. But the thing that was there before either football or the wee soldiers was the little tin soldiers was music. Mum and Dad. Kids of the 60s, my dad was a bit of a mod, although by the time he was 20 I'd come along to change that to another 3-letter, one-syllable name for him, a mod to Dad, and that was the Indies Lambretta. So but they had good music all the time, and my sister and I having parties and that, because we were still young, Mum and Dad, and my sister and I lying in our bed and we're hearing all this great music. It was always there, and I remember seeing that video of the Small Faces. I wasn't born until 69, but I remember in later years seeing them on the telly and just loving it. Mum and Dad would play that song all the time, amongst all the Motown stuff, Johnny Cash, Ray Charles, everything, and all the mod stuff as well. And I loved that song, and I remember just think it's Germany. They're in Germany, seeing the Lufthansa building behind them. And I know kind of flat, as I go older, I get other interests. I see the flats that are behind them, or the office building. I think that's probably Bauhaus. That's probably a Bauhaus building that's up there. But I hate this time of year. I want it to be, when I think of winter and how beautiful winter is, I think of Steve Marriott in that kind of corduroy coat that he's got on, just blowing the air, being able to see the air in front of him because it's so cold, and he's taking the piss out of that old couple that walked through their shot, and they probably worked for the Gestapo, or certainly didn't stop the Gestapo doing something. They'll have done something during this, or maybe they hated it, maybe they're lucky to have survived the war. You don't know, but it just all that stuff would go through my head. It was merging with the football, it was merging with the war, and it was merging with all or nothing. It has to be all or nothing, and no, for me, it's all of my loving. Just give Rangers all of my loving, and any you get in return is a bonus. It's about loving something hard, and it's the same thing with Barry Ferguson. All or nothing. Give me the job. No, Barry. It's no. It's all or nothing for Barry, because he's an all-out kind of player, an all-out competitor, and you can see him going back to his playing career, pig-headedness, his just determination to win and push everyone to its nth degree since he's been given this gig. And so he's now talking about getting the job full-time, and he hasn't been told about it. I think he was starting to kind of slightly gaslight the board, put a bit of pressure on folk in Friday's presser, but it's good that Barry feels all or nothing. But what Barry gets from me is, because he's all or nothing, he gets all of my loving, and I'm so happy. I'm so fucking relieved that he's got this win today, because as I got a bit older with the modelling and with the soldiers and the figurines, and I started buying I'd be buying Shoot, I'd be buying Match, a few years yet before I bought World Soccer, but my uncle had passed on to me a few modelling magazines, not those kind of modelling magazines. That was something I would, in my teenage years, I got into that more on. But people would do dioramas. Like you'd heroes. This is the days before the internet. Your heroes were footballers, musicians. You had cartoonists as well, getting 2000 AD, getting Battle, you get Carlos Equizera doing Judge Dredd was always my favourite thing of all time. But you'd also have started getting, I can't remember the name, it's these guys who did dioramas, little scenes, models. We're all doing models, like picking on transfers and that, and trying to paint a Spitfire and try to hang it for your ceiling and things like that. We were shit at it, whereas these guys were actual experts. They were total artists, and they'd be in these modelling and hobby magazines doing the little dioramas, and it was often the Second World War, the ones that I really loved. And you'd have a Tiger tank getting taken on by 3 Shermans, and there would be Waffen SS coming round the corner, and there'd be some US Marines coming up the back and that kind of thing. The machine guns would be, they've got an MP38, or it should be an MP40 though, if it's the Battle of the Bulge, if it's the Ardennes offensive. But all this stuff would be absolutely perfect, and it's a moment in time. It's plastic, that's been painted to perfection, and the scenery would be there, and all the all so naturalistic looking, and the insignias would be all proper on the guys' uniforms and that. But it's like it's a moment frozen in time, and if it's for the Second World War, you could pinpoint exactly what that time was. You knew everything that had happened before, you knew everything that had happened after. But it was a moment frozen in time, done to perfection, and that's what I want. That's what I want just now for Barry. I want that moment frozen in time. His interimship, he came in and took over from Philip Clement, and I think he was pretty much told he wasn't going to get the job. I don't know. I don't know, obviously, what's going on in the conversations, but he's come in and been told to manage the ship until the end of the season, and I've just always thought it will be no longer than the end of the season. Nothing's changed my mind on that, because he's, he would have to win the Europa League, I think. But he's done a magnificent job, and because I love Barry, because he gets all my loving, I wanted him to just have this moment in time, just painted, get the insignia right, get the machine guns in there, get it in the one thing that was missing. The one thing that was going to make it not ring true was that he didn't have a home win under his belt, and now he's got a chance of getting a couple. He's away from home, he's won at Rugby Park, he's won at Dens Park, he's won at Parkhead, he's won in the Sucru Sarakoglu and Karakoy on the Asian side of the Bosphorus in Istanbul, but he just couldn't win at Ibrox. And some of the loss to Fenerbahce at Ibrox was part of him winning that tie on penalties. It's a magnificent night at Ibrox. The draw with Celtic last week, they're the league champions by some distance, so that's totally creditable, not an embarrassment at all. And the draw with Athletic Club Bilbao had me in tears. I was so proud of Rangers that night. So it's just to get over this part of the kind of the statistics, damn lies and statistics. Barry not having a home win was just it wouldn't be a true condemnation. It would be unfair because it didn't tell the full story, particularly the shit deck he'd been handed when he was dealt into this game. But no, he's got the home win now, and nothing can distract from the fact he's done a stand-up job, and his Ibrox, his Rangers legacy, can be totally polished, and he's helped me continue in my new obsession, which is the Europa League, that UEFA Cup trophy. As I say, I don't have a pennant, I don't have a scarf, I don't have anything that his Rangers, just with that actual trophy on it. I've got plenty of Cup Winners' Cup pennants, I've got plenty of European Cup, the big year trophy silhouettes on pennants that are marking Rangers ties in the Champions League through the years, individual Rangers ties. But I just suddenly realised I don't have anything. I've got other teams, other clubs' pennants, and they've got the UEFA Cup trophy, the trophy we still play from that Europa League going on. But Rangers have come as close to owning that trophy as anybody else. We've the best record of any club in Scotland in that competition. It's as close to being ours as to actually winning the thing. We've only won 3 European trophies as a nation, and for Rangers to have got to 2 finals, and then last season, and then another last 16, get put out by PSV Eindhoven, beating us 1-0 at home under Walter after we got to the final in 2008. Last 16 under Gerrard, last 32 under Gerrard, last 16 under Clement last season, quarter final this season. It's our trophy. I want something, and Barry's played his part in that as well, captaining us in a final of that competition, and then getting us to the quarter final, and he got that win today. The team I was saying on the Friday preview pod for this game, there's no way we're going to employ the diamond again against Aberdeen, but I want us to go with the same starting 11. I want us to go with the same starting 11, except Igaman starting instead of Dessers. But I thought we would just go with the same starting 11 as against Celtic, and we did employ the diamond. We did employ the diamond. Conor Barron sitting a bit further back in midfield, just in front of the defence, and Bajrami again, Nadim Bajrami getting a bit of a renaissance in his Rangers career. He's at the front of that diamond, the bit that you would do, the pointy bit of the diamond, the bit you would shove up your arse as you try to smuggle it into that other country, over the border, into that undiscovered country. So far for Rangers since February, which is a home win, and that's what we ended up getting today. The first half, it's Dessers and Czerny as a 2 up front there. And the first half today, we're going through the motions. We definitely were keeping the ball in the Aberdeen half, but not a lot was happening in terms of goal scoring chances. I look back in the game now, we get closer and closer towards the end of that half, and then we completely closed the vice in the second half. So it seems like just a brilliantly organised and determined win for Rangers, but with everything that was affecting our confidence with the state of this home run and the nerves I applied to absolutely everything they can possibly throw in at criticising Rangers, and it was pretty bad in the first half. I was getting that feeling that I did in the Fraserburgh first half back in January. There was a moment. It seemed like. You have to give him credit. He is a good player, Shinny, their little tin soldier. He was going out there and getting on top of Czerny, trying to shut Czerny down. And to counter that almost, or a mirroring of that, we had Nico Raskin running about getting on top of the gentleman in Scotland International, that is Nicky Devlin. I'm not being sarcastic, he's a lovely guy, Nicky Devlin. If you know, it goes deep with Jersey. We need to be nice about Nicky Devlin, he is a nice guy. But it seemed that Raskin was kind of stopping him getting too far forward and getting Aberdeen going from the back. But we had most of the ball, Aberdeen not really getting near our goal at all. We had... Tav, there was a moment where Hefty goes down the wing and he puts a ball, and you're like, Hefty just doesn't put in accurate balls, he doesn't have accurate shots, he's never going to do anything in this game. The ball goes, he was a bit bad in the Celtic game, but he got to play today, and he fires a ball from wide on the left, and it just goes right over everybody, and there's just nobody there, but Tav picks it up and puts a decent ball into the box. I don't know if it's the same move, but Tav then puts a great ball right in the middle of the 6-yard box, right in between two Aberdeen centre-halves and their goalkeeper. None of them could get to it, but we'd nobody there. We'd absolutely nobody there. Then Dessers was going down the left wing, or the inside left position, put a fantastic ball into the right in the middle on the penalty spot where he should have been, but he wasn't there. And then Tav, a fantastic, was that a free kick? I don't know, a lot of great balls coming from Tav. He played really well today, apart from one defensive error, but if put a ball across into the box, right onto Dessers' head as we got towards half time. And Dessers was, I don't know, it felt to me from where I'm sitting up the other end of the park in the main stand that he just headed the ball over from about 6 yards. And then right in the stroke, I thought it was going to be a stroke at half time. Another even better ball from Tav, which it come off, I think Dessers was under the bar really. It looked like he was under the bar, I'll be exaggerating, and the ball comes off the back of his shoulders and goes out or over the bar or something like that. The goalkeeper wasn't there, he just had to kind of basically, I think Tav was getting to the stage where he thought, I'll just hit the ball in off Dessers. I'll not ask Dessers to actually do anything with it, I'll just use him as a kind of... a rubber band or something, just a rubber board to smack the ball into the net via, but even that, it come off him and avoided the goals. And then we had that whole thing where I was putting the ball, and I can't remember who slipped the ball through to Dessers. Was it Nico Raskin who was coming on to have a bit of a game? Him and Diamandi were busy without getting too far in that first half, but maybe it was Diamandi, I don't know who slipped the ball through to Dessers, but Dessers, a lovely finish, not too much time to think about it. Here we go, 1-0. No, VAR rolls it out for offside, which I can't judge from where I'm sitting. Aberdeen have the ball in the back of our net straight, and it's down the tunnel at half time. Out comes Ronald Waterous for the half time tombola draw. There's lots of kids showing more skill in their wee games and more determination, I thought anyway, in the kind of mood I was in at that point in time, than the Rangers players in the first team were showing. But no, they come out and second half, Ronald Waterous, remember he played that night. Was he not in the goalie that night, the Champions League campaign where we got through the group stage? I think he was. We got through the group stage, the nicest possible way, qualifying in second for the only time in our history. I know we finished second in 92-93, but more of a hero than we realise. Ronald Waterous, just at that dodgy time under Alec McLeish's stewardship. The dodgy times under Alec McLeish's stewardship. There's plenty of great times under Big X stewardship. But so Ronald Waterous comes out and gets some lukewarm applause. I hate that when the ex-players don't get the proper reception they should, but it was a kind of sun-kissed sort of day. All about tifos last week. This week it was just all about t-shirts and empty seats, and even the Union Bears, I say, with their retro shirts on in honour of Jimmy Bell, they're not even wearing the black, so nothing to do. They did bring out a nice wee banner though that said free Graham Souness or free Souness. That was quite funny. But we came to the second half, and Bajrami, who'd taken a dullion towards the end of the first half, he didn't come out in the second half, and Igaman comes on. Igaman's out there warming up before the teams have come out. He's warming up at half time, just at the end of the half time break, and over the other side of the park, Nisbet is warming up for them. And I remember the goal I saw him scoring against Hibs at Pittodrie recently, thinking, oh no, how's this going to go? Hopefully Igaman's coming on for Dessers, but then Dessers comes out, and I'm like, oh aye, because Bajrami had been subbed off Eggman comes on for him, and I'm thinking, I hope we don't do that thing of sticking Eggman out in the left. And then after Aberdeen had done it, looked like they were right up for it, and I thought they're going to push home the fact that we shot our bolt in the first half. It's just a terrible run for Rangers in home games. They're going to take advantage of that again. It's just summing up the problem Rangers have, which is we can't win when we've got more of the ball, and where do we have more of the ball than anywhere else? Ibrox. So teams are just taking they're taking advantage of this, and it's become a real thing. That's what I was thinking anyway. But Aberdeen, they went for it, and they had that shot. I don't know if it's come off the near post, the bottom of the post, or if it's a good save by Liam Kelly, or both. But then I think it was just after that, Eggman, who I didn't want playing out in the left, and I think he actually. Oh, what happened? Who do we have up front? Did Czerny go in? I think Czerny went and played as the kind of one on the front of the diamond behind Dessers and Eggman. I think that was more likely to be what was happening. But it was Eggman wide on the left. It just plays a lovely ball through to Václav Czerny, who's in on goal. And we didn't get the goal, but it's like, yeah, Eggman just doesn't matter where you put him. He's great. He just makes stuff happen. And there he is doing it brilliantly from the left. And it was when was the first goal? We scored the first goal at 55 minutes. Beautiful ball from Nico Raskin. And that's the thing, all that huffing and puffing, all that weight and all that anxiety on my part. The ball through from Nico Raskin, it's a mile onside. It's such a great ball, such a defence slicing ball, catching Aberdeen's enthusiasm off guard. And you can just see there's no way it's offside, and you get to enjoy Czerny going through on goal, and he's got that kind of, I'm sure it's outside of the foot finish, through, under, just around the goalkeeper. But it was so competent and so kind of well placed that the ball was relatively slow, so you got a split second of enjoying the fact that you knew it was in. You knew it was going between the posts, you knew it was going to go in, and you knew it was onside, and it was a lovely finish, and it's 1-0. It's just like, yeah, that was really easy, wasn't it? So we're taking the lead properly again, and for the second game in a week. Here at Ibrox, second home game in a week, we're taking the lead, and the trick is, can we actually extend that? Yes, we can. And the second goal was phenomenal. The second goal just had me totally delighted, far too delighted and enthusiastic for a man of my years. Doing the full-on kind of almost jumping up and down, which would have been, bad news for the main stand, the age it is. But I managed to contain it. But it was just such a moment of relief, because you thought, yeah, finally we've gone 2 goals up and we're not going to stop. And it was Nico Raskin. There was all sorts of stuff going on that left-hand side. Czerny was getting involved in it in times as well. Nico Raskin was starting to run right. Eggman was just giving us a fluidity. We'd been very kind of boringly applying ourselves, methodical, I would say, in the first half. But the second half, I don't know if it was Eggman coming on or a rocket from Barry, but we started playing like Barry himself would do. Not giving a shit what was going on at the back, just taking the game to the opposition, believing ourselves, just getting that fluidity going, that you're totally in the game space, you're not even feeling you're feeling the pace of the game, struggling for fitness, you're just letting the will to win be its own energy. And Nico Raskin did this thing of chopping and changing and just going down the byline, cutting inside, stopping, going, just had the Aberdeen defence all at sea. And of course he's cutting the ball back, so who loves a cut back more than anybody else? Cyril Dessers, deadly striker. It's going to be 30 goals. That's third game in a trot, third league game in a trot for Cyril Dessers for the first time in his career. I think that Sky were saying at the start of their coverage today. But that was at 2-0 to Rangers. That was 61 minutes. I think it was 2-0 to Rangers. Absolutely fantastic. All I ever say, absolutely fantastic. I watch these pods back sometimes, and it's like, absolutely fantastic. Think of something else. Like, get some synonyms in there. But it was absolutely fantastic. We're 2-0 up. This is good. Still had that wee thing in the back of my mind, going to get cocky. We're so unused to winning at home. You could see there's another variation on the theme here. We're just going to find another way not to win at home. Could be Aberdeen coming back to grab a point. Really embarrassment. A couple of late goals for them or something. But it was, was it 70th minute? Where we got the third goal, and it was Eggman just being Eggman. I don't know how the ball came. I think we were trying to have a shot. The Aberdeen box was packed. The ball kind of spins back out to Eggman, who's at the edge of the box, and he takes a step back like a master does. Just a Shaolin monk. He just knows exactly what he's supposed to do. He takes a step back away from the ball, because he's going to put it into the back of the net, and he hits it up and down. It's a volley from the edge of the box. It goes up and it dips down and right in off the inside of the faraway post, leaving their goalkeeper with no chance. He's scrambling, but he's never going to get there because of the accuracy. It was Nice all over again. It's just, this is why this boy should be playing for us all the time. It was a great goal. It was a fantastic finish. It was 3-0 to Rangers. I was fucking delighted. And he goes straight over to Danilo. Just a brilliant bit of comradeship, brilliant bit of camaraderie. Going over to Danilo, his teammate who's going to be well pissed off that he's not getting a game these days, and Eggman's coming on and plays him. First person he thinks of after scoring a wonderful goal like that. 3-0 to Rangers. And I think we had a substitution straight away. We brought on Bailey Rice for... Diamandi had just been booked. Diamandi had been booked, and I think deservedly so. It was one of the ones I was kind of half waiting for it to get back to VAR and become a red card. But sorry, there's a game going on in the Parker Close for the main stand there, and I'm getting distracted by that. Just moving colours in a football, that's what is distracting me, even in the middle of a pod talking about another football match. But Diamandi goes off, and on comes Bailey Rice, fresh from his masterclass in the press conference on Friday. I saw yesterday, I think it was just released yesterday. He was phenomenal, Bailey Rice. I don't care how cool he is in midfield. He'll never get cooler than he was in that press conference. Just swatting the stuff away. Just swatting it away. Every question that was sent his way. He'll be your own contract. That's between me and the club. All right, and I am just always good. It's good the managers tell me when I'm going wrong, and he's no messing about. It's great to play for him. You just try to get some sort of controversy to him. No, I was just waiting for him to start going. I've got more hair than you. I've heard you're a bit of an alky. I've just seen. No, my mum said she saw you just going and getting a bottle of milk and a bottle of meth and all that. I'm just saying what I heard, mate. I'm not actually saying that it's true or anything like that. It's just what I heard. You're talking. Phenomenal, Bailey Rice. It's great, and he's like, it sounds like he's going to say, "I'll have a bottle of Vimto and a curly whirly, and you're going to get me a Bazooka Joe and a Warlord." And he comes on the part of the day looking like a total unit. Didn't get knocked out this time. I think he has in his past 2 substitute appearances. And we had there was another couple of moments, wasn't it? One of them was Leon Balogun just before he got taken off. He had a header. I've missed something else. There was another bit of magnificence from Eggman. So there's been a goal. Somebody just scored a goal from about the halfway line in that game. That's going on across there. It's totally distracting me. It's an absolute beauty. But there was another bit of magnificence from Eggman as he seemed to beat about 5 guys and tried to curl it into the top corner. Like I've had one in the bottom corner. I'm going to go for the opposite top corner now, and the ball come back to him, and he just went and beat another 2 or 3 guys, and it was kind of Ole stuff. It was really great. And then there was a nice routine at a corner where it was getting headed, go to the back post, head it back to the other post, and then came Leon Balogun. Leon Balogun, did you say a day in the life of Leon Balogun on Rangers TV? I just saw the wee clip on YouTube of it. How cool! What is that outfit like, man? It was like something from a kind of utopian sci-fi film. The ambassador is here from the planet's Metropolitanus. Sexualis. What outfit? What uniforms are he wearing? No, it's just totally boss. Like Hugo Boss, not just. I think I'm one of the Japanese designers, but he looked absolutely sensational. And I was hoping he was going to get his due reward today. He's a brilliant guy, just a great guy. As Leon Balogun, he came in for that header at the back post, but it was just narrowly missed the goal. And we just seem to be seeing the game out. Remember the 80th minute, we have a few more substitutions. Danilo got on for Dessers. Tom Lawrence come on for Raskin, and I think Raskin held back to get the applause again. Tav had a moment where again another brilliant moment of skill sweeping up in defence, but then just put a ball straight across the defence and gave the ball away. But we got away with it. That's probably the only thing stopping. Raskin stepped it up in the second half. Raskin definitely deserved man of the match. Second Sunday in a row at Ibrox, he gets deserved man of the match, Nico Raskin. But Taff had a great game. So Raskin goes off, Tom Lawrence come on for him, and Kassan Virgil come on for Balogun as well. So good to see Kassan Virgil back playing for the first team after his Glasgow Club glory, and that's him back playing for the first team. And it's a guy we're interested in, a young man that we are interested in. It definitely has a lot of potential. Just hope we can stop the injuries. How often have we said that? He comes on, and it's just like we're playing the game out, and I'm sitting there just going to savour every moment of Rangers finally winning a home game for the first time since February, and we get another one. Deep into injury, and I was so switched off. I'd got lax, enjoying the luxury of laxity that I don't even know what happened. It was a shot, and I don't know if it was deflected off Hefty. I missed the moment where Hefty actually scored the goal. There was a lot of kind of chuckling going on amongst the Rangers players, as if somebody didn't expect something to happen, or somebody did handle it and they'd got away with it. I don't know what's happened there, but ends up, I just heard them giving it to Hefty. I thought the one time Hefty actually does, I thought Hefty's first goal for Rangers would be the winner in a European final, or the goal that won us the league. Maybe it will be. Maybe his first proper goal will be. But anyway, he got the credit for that today. Deep in injury time, and that's us beating Aberdeen 4-0. I was walking along here today, coming to this game, thinking, God, during the COVID season, maybe we beat Aberdeen 4-0 twice, and at Ibrox, beat them by a single goal both times up at Pittodrie. We beat them 4-0 twice. Because I was worried. I just always think this is going to be a problem. Our home games are a problem. They're nerve-wracking, and I was fantasising about the days where we did cruise past Aberdeen, beating them 4-0, didn't concede a goal that enabled us on the last day of the season, the last day of the league season, to complete that British defensive record. Leon Balogun playing there as well, but we beat them 4-0 today, all the goals in the second half, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I just loved every minute of it, turned it into a lazy Sunday afternoon, and I am here just standing next to this wee kind of Itchcoo Park behind me, and there's another thing happens at Wrigley Field, a famous tradition at Wrigley Field, which is the big white flag with the blue W on it. It started in the days, long before radio was just a thing. It was long before television coverage, never mind the internet. But people would be on the L coming back from their work or whatever as the train would go past Wrigley Field, and they just started flying a big flag that said, loss, a big L. flown to the L to let you know that the Cubs had lost, and the other one would be the big white flag with the blue W on it for win. They have won, just to let people know what the score was, basically, of games as they went about their business in Chicago of old. When they won the World Series in 2016, if you look into that, there was in the Botanical Gardens or whatever it is, the big kind of gardens they have in Chicago, they did a big flower bed just made up of blue flowers and white flowers, making the blue W on the white flag win flag for the Cubs, commemorating that. And that's the other thing today. It's been so long going back to my motor, going back to my walking along to the motor after the game, that the big, all these cars going past me here the now, cars going along Edmondson Drive and what have you, the big blue W. It's me, this big blue W you've been having to listen to in these post-match reaction pods for outside Ibrox since the 2nd of February. I haven't been able to give you a big blue W, but it is Rangers win. And for me, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. There's wheat in the field, and there's water in the stream, and salt in the mine, and an aching in me to go along to the Rangers shop and see if they've got a pennant of Rangers in that UEFA Cup trophy. Well done on your interimship, Barry, and let's just not do what's happened before, where there's a bit of a relief, to get the relief of Mafficking type feeling. Remember the first time we ever got into the first time we'd get into the Champions League since 2012. What a relief that was! That's the biggest relief in my life, probably, as a Rangers supporter. Are finally getting to 9 in a row, and then the following season Celtic win, they stop us doing 10. We get into that Champions League, we get beat 7-1 off Liverpool. Sometimes you get that moment of high relief. There's a little moment of slapping you back in the face straight afterwards. But aye, we as supporters today, anyway, up until Wednesday night, can be properly relieved, and hopefully we can go and enjoy the rest of our season. And thank you for watching. There's only going to be 2 more of these, folks, and maybe 4 more altogether. And next season I'll come back fresh and revived and be able to hit you with 30-minute pods that get straight to the point. But Rangers today got straight to all 3 points. Enjoy your Sunday trips.